The following is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. 1,200 subscribers, guys. That's amazing, Deadites. Let's keep growing, baby.
Here we go, Deadites. Another one down from the roadmap. Welcome to What If Deku and Bakugo were Keyblade masters. Well, let's be clear, they're not going to be masters on this part, but let's get into it. Fair warning before we start, I'm going to be taking elements from Kingdom Hearts and using them as best I can to the story I'm weaving. To keep this true to MHA to a point, I won't be starting off at Destiny Island, but at Dagobah Beach. Katsuki Bakugo was playing on the beach with his friend Izumi Midoriya. That's right, we're going Fem Deku for this. They were playing in the water, but they were on the shore and were by no means anywhere near where they could be caught in the undertow. Our girl is still quirkless, but in this, Bakugo was way nicer to her. Say what you will about Bakugo, but there's no way he's going to go to that level of bullying on a female. His mother would kill him. It also helps that whenever Izumi smiles at him, for some reason he just feels good. Our heroes are around 10 years old at this moment. When the sky darkened, their moms called for them. However, a massive wave hit them and washed them away. Multiple aquatic heroes were sent after them, and they searched for well over a year before declaring them dead. But you know full well that they're not exactly dead. That odd wave brought them to another plane. Katsuki and Izumi were hugging each other tightly and eventually passed out, but that grip would not loosen. Eventually they found themselves in a radiant garden. Chip and Dale noticed the children had got someone that could actually lift them. Sora and Riku. Full disclosure, I haven't finished Kingdom Hearts 3 and probably won't for some time. With games that big, I tend to take my time. It's just, I've got many things to do, and I gotta find the time to do it. Any fan of the series can tell you how convoluted the story is, so for this instance, we're gonna sweep a good majority of that under the rug. Why I'm doing this will make a whole lot more sense as we go further into the video and possibly the series. The children start to stir. Hey Riku! Kairi! The kids are waking up! Now, for this, the trio of masters are about 18 or so, and getting them was a wise decision on Chip and Dale's part. Riku and Kairi madly dashed into the room. Hey there, kiddo! My name's Sora, what's yours? Bakugo let out a small explosion via his quirk, but what really surprised the group was that he was holding a Keyblade in his hand. I don't know who you are, or where I am right now, but where are our mommies? Katsuki held his Keyblade out and ran for Sora, who took him down with a flick to the head. Sora, he's got... I know, Kairi. Look, kid. Your friend hasn't woken up yet, and that is problematic. Isn't that right, Kairi? Ow! Kairi bonked Sora on the head with the flat of her blade. Look, we mean you no harm, and we've been where you are, so we understand. But I really don't want to explain this twice. Wonder how long this will take her. Since Bakugo was holding a Keyblade, he literally had just got done doing that, so he understands what's going on. We fade into the very soul of Deku. Where am I? I'm going to paraphrase a lot here. The sword brings light. The shield grants protection. And the wand lights the spark of magic. Choose two and surrender one. I don't know who you are, lady, but why would I do that? I need the sword for combat. So do I need the shield to protect me. And magic I'm gonna need as well, aren't I? I choose all three or none at all. In this instance, the sword ate the wand. Well, let's say the sword ate half of the wand and the shield ate the other half. Izumi was swarmed by shadows. The shadows cloud her soul. Defeat them. At first, she didn't want to, but they gave her no choice in the matter. I'm no artist, so I can't give you a visual of Izumi's ki, but I can give you a good description. The blade itself was black, while the guard was red and the handle white. There are also some green gems in the center grip. The guard looks like a heart. If you feel like drawing it, go for it. Just send me a pic via the boneyard. Izumi was scared at first, but she knew this was do or die and struck at the shadows. Good. Now for magic. Focus on the target and say the name of the intended spell. Fire! Was all Izumi could think. With that first spell, Izumi continued her fight until there were no longer any Heartless left to face. A path lay before Izumi. All those who have played Kingdom Hearts know where this is going. Before Izumi stood her shadow, as it warped into the form of a dark side. It attacks Izumi and dodges. I don't know why you want to fight me, but I'm not afraid of bullies. Izumi strikes back. The punch Izumi dodged turned into a small portal that shadows and neo-shadows emerged from. Izumi's determination did not waver. Fine, have it your way. After democracy failed, Izumi attacked with full force. Not a single attack connected with her. The dark side was getting angry and started to attack recklessly. Big mistake. For someone her age, she's being rather calm, just as the final blow was about to be made. Now get back where you belong! You're my shadow, aren't you? Darkseid turned into her, smiled, and became her shadow once more. Another Keyblade was in her hands, and Izumi woke up holding on to both of them. Boys, she's up! Well, hey there, Izumi. I'm Kairi. Don't worry, Katsuki is safe. But we've got some explaining too. Kairi laid her eyes on her Keyblades. One was your run-of-the-mill Keyblade forged from the light, but the other was clearly a Keyblade forged from the darkness. Riku, who had arrived first, could tell at one glance. When Sora arrived with Katsuki in tow, he asked for specifics, and she shared with what happened with them. Everyone there was surprised. What was I supposed to do? Kill my shadow? I'm not going to kill something that's a part of me. I needed her and she needed me. Daddy always told me that there was a balance to things, and I think he was right. Izumi was proud of her Keyblades, but when she saw the look on the senpais, or rather Oni and One-chan's faces, later to be senpais or masters, she got a little worried. Did I do something bad? Sora took this chance to make Izumi feel better. No, sweetie, you didn't. Some people here feel uneasy about the darkness and might get nervous around you and that blade of yours. Let's keep that a secret for now, okay? This was their school, but if Yen Sid ever figured out how Izumi got that Keyblade, it might be very bad. A few years go by, and both Izumi and Katsuki are doing great under their tutelage of their masters. However, the day they had all feared came to be. Yen Sid discovered the nature of her other Keyblade. Young lady, you should be careful not to listen to the whisperings of the darkness. It may offer you power, but that power comes at a cost, my dear. Yen Sid is glaring at the three masters for not informing him of such thing for years. He would later have some choice words with the three. Choice words that Izumi overheard and misunderstood with her young mind. That child needs to be dealt with, and you three don't seem to understand how to do so. That's all Izumi needed to hear before she hijacked a gummy ship and ran away. They wouldn't find that out until the morning, and by that time she was long gone, like well beyond the outermost rim of their reach. Gummy ships have warp drives after all, and she just randomly warped over and over and over and over again. That news was all the adults needed to know. She overheard you and misunderstood. She could be anywhere now! Riku was not happy with Yen's Sid. All Katsuki could remember was that Izumi said something about him being scary when he was half asleep. That was all the adults needed to know. She overheard you and misunderstood. She could be anywhere by now. Anywhere! Do you know what you've done? The thought of tracking the gummy ship came to mind, but Katsuki had a part in his hands. There goes that idea. The masters would expend all their resources in finding Izumi, but come up short. Katsuki was being oddly calm during all of this. To be clear, the first thing they did was call Inko and confirm that she hadn't heard from her daughter after being told everything. As a functioning adult, she would understand that what Yen Sid was trying to say, but for a powerful sorcerer, he was an idiot for not making sure the room was secure, and she would say as much. You heard that right. There wasn't a massive threat, but when the three masters called Mitsuki and Inko and explained the honor of wielding Keyblade, they gave them permission to continue their studies, provided they come home for holidays. You're handling this rather well, Katsuki. How are you feeling? Sora asked his student. I'm gonna finish my training here. Izumi was ahead of me anyway, so all she's doing is studying abroad, Katsuki. I guess you could think of it in that way. Well, at least she wasn't alone. Mushu was napping on that ship. He'll look after her until we find her. That gave Katsuki a little comfort, but the masters would scour the worlds nearby to find her and once again come up short each time. Speaking of which, Izumi falls asleep at the helm and Mushu wakes her up. Pull up, girl! Pull up! Izumi barely managed to avoid a massive head-first crash in the ocean. However, she was landed close to an odd-looking nearby harbor, but she kinda was, well, how do I put this? Upside down. It wasn't a massive crash, but that was still a good force, so ship got dinged up. Her gummy ship was once again dinged up, and it would be in need of repairs, but it was nowhere near as messed up as the Going Merry. Her ship was at least operable and had to a point, but had some serious hull damage, but repairable, or at least one outside would think. We gotta get out of here, kid. Izumi pulled the release switch, but nothing was happening, and water continued to rush into the gummy ship. In a desperate attempt, Izumi brought out her Keyblades, and just as she was going to strike at the hatch, she and Mushu ran out of breath and passed out. Luckily enough, the Straw Hat crew noticed that the ship was facing the wrong direction. Luffy did his thing and pulled the gummy ship closer and flipped it. A set of shipwrights got the gummy ship open. Chopper provided CPR for Izumi and Mushu. Mushu woke up quickly, but Izumi took a minute. If you're wondering why Mushu doesn't contact the school, he can't. Izumi ripped the communications equipment out. She couldn't trust the masters to protect her from Yen Sid, and even if she did have the equipment necessary, he wouldn't really use it. Izumi needs to discover herself, and Mushu knows how to help someone on that journey. In this instance, Mushu is her Jiminy Cricket. Trust is something hard to gain, but easily lost. He wasn't about to let that girl go it alone, so he didn't risk it. When Izumi woke, she laid eyes on the Straw Hat crew. Hi, my name's Luffy. This is my crew, and we're the Straw Hat Pirates. Everyone gave their names. A groggy Izumi grabbed the hand that was stretched a foot away from its owner. At first she thought it was Quirk, but then she remembered that she wasn't in her world. She veered as far away from it as possible. She looked to the normal-looking people for an explanation, and just so happened to land on Sanji. Say what you will about his womanizing, but Izumi is a little too young to be in his range. So all he's gonna do is be sweet on her. Don't worry about our captain. He swallowed a gum fruit, so he's a rubber man. But since that's a gummy ship, I'm guessing you're not from around here. A few people in this crew ate these fruits called devil fruits. They give you wacky powers in exchange for, well, the ability to swim. They sink like a rock whenever they get near the water. Izumi was puzzled by that. Isn't that kind of counterproductive for a pirate, Mr. Sanji? Everyone laughed at that. She wasn't wrong, really. I'll step in for a second here. While I know the currency for One Piece is berry, this is a Kingdom Hearts story, and therefore all worlds will be using Gil. The crew took Izumi with them in their search for a shipwright. They go all around Water 7 and eventually make it to Galila. Iceberg takes a look at both vessels, and if you've watched the show to that point, you know what's going to happen. Sorry, your ship is toast. Iceberg explains that there is no way they were getting that fixed, and by that I mean the merry-go, or rather the going merry. The keel being damaged meant the absolute death of a ship, for that type of ship at least. The crew was torn at this revelation. You're joking, right? The Mary has been there for us, and now it's our turn to be there for her. Izumi and Nami sighed, but Izumi played devil's advocate. Look, guys, your keel getting damaged is the equivalent of my core getting ruptured and wrecking my entire ship. The keel is a unique bend of wood, and there is no way in the world they can replicate that. Put the Mary to rest and find a new ship. Mr. Iceberg, was it? How about my gummy ship? Every shipwright at Galila had a sweat drop. I'll level with you, kid. Your ship needs a full rework, and is already barely space-worthy to begin with. My guess is they were going to scrap it. He looks at Mushu. Mushu nods like, You'd need either a complete and total retrofit, or just a brand new ship entirely, which, sadly enough for you, we don't sell or do. Truth be told, the only guy around that knows anything about gummy ships is... If you guys guessed Frankie, then you would be correct. Not that unsimilar to canon, this Frankie had different thoughts on how to go about repairs and creating things. Galila wanted nothing to do with the gummy ships, and really only helped Izumi since she almost died and was, well, a kid in their book. They all tried their best, but the assessment was all they could really give her. The Straw Hat crew was feeling down, and we all know what can happen when people of strong hearts are feeling down in their dumps and start succumbing to the depths of their heart. We did her best to put smiles on their faces so that didn't happen. And the one who was taking it the worst was Usopp. And while he didn't become a Heartless himself, all that negativity around them summoned a swarm of Heartless. What the hell are those things? Nami asked. They're Heartless. They're born from the darkness in our hearts. But in this case, they were summoned here with the struggle within your strong hearts. I'll deal with this. Fundaga! Izumi struck the bigger group of Heartless with magic. However, Zoran and Robin now had their brows raised. They had both seen Keyblades before. Gomo Gomo no Gatling! Luffy overcame his depression and assisted Izumi in fending off the Heartless. Zoro was admiring Izumi's form, but saw that it could use a little more work. She had only really been training for like over a year, and She didn't really have magic under her belt, but swordsmanship, she had that to a point. Now he could really help her in that manner. Seeing their captain and the girl they just met fight off the Heartless lifted their spirits one by one and they joined the fight. Don't slay them if you can avoid that. Only the little girl with the Keyblade can purify the Heartless. Return the hearts to whence they came. Izumi smiled at Robin. Guess you've met a Keyblade master or wielder. She described the giant mouse that Izumi recognized to be King Mickey. By the end of the battle, Izumi had herself a new set of friends. She hugged them and assured them that they should move on and move forth and carry on with their dream. They met with Frankie, and he would make the Thousand Sunny, as well as Izumi's new gummy ship. Or rather, remade gummy ship. He also, of course, would join the Straw Hat crew. But first, well, kid, what are you gonna name her now that she's good to go? Izumi didn't even need to think about that one. With your permission, guys, I would like to call her the Gummy Mary. She got a thumbs up from every crew member and would stay for, well, most of the year to train with Zoro. Of course, being seen with the Straw Hats would net her a bounty as well, purely by association. But since she was always by Zoro's side for her time on the Grand Line, she'd receive a hefty bounty of 78,500,000 gil. She would help defend the crew after all, and since she rolled with pirates, that would make her one once again by association. Once that time was over, and Zoro felt he had nothing left to teach Izumi, they gave her an epic farewell party. Brooke and Zoro were pulling off all the stops, with an awesome meal and a very jaunty tune that she utterly loved, and her Keyblades had gained two new keychains. I've been stalling long enough. The name of those Keyblades are